Good evening, everyone. So, we will start our session today. I hope my voice is clear, right? Let me know in the chat box. Okay, so let me share my screen. I hope my screen is also visible. Okay, so yesterday we talked about bitwise operator, right? So today we will move to other operator, which is last operator called shift operator. Okay, shift operator. Okay, so this shift operator is again divided into two types. Okay, first one is left shift and the second one is right shift. Okay, so the left shift operator is denoted with the help of two less than symbols, and coming to the right shift operator, it is represented with two greater than symbols. Okay, now we will see how to perform this left shift and right shift operations. Okay, so now think that I want to perform first we will try to look after left shift operation. So think that I want to perform left shift operation on a number called 7. Okay, I am taking 7. I want to perform left shift operation. So this is the symbol, right? So while doing operation, any shift operation, we need to give number of bits we want to shift. Okay, here at the right side we will give like 1 bit or 2 bits we want to shift or 3 bits we want to shift. Okay, so this represents the number of bits to shift, and this is the number on which we are trying to perform the shift operation. So here I have given left shift operator. So I am going to perform left shift operation on this number 7, and I am going to shift only 1 bit. Only 1 bit left. Okay, so how to perform this operation? So to perform this operation, first we want to convert the number to binary format. Okay, so what is the binary representation of 7? What is the binary representation of 7? So 0, 1, 1 and 1. So this is the binary representation of 7. Okay, so how to perform now shift operation? So we know that this is the LSB bit, right? Always shift any operation on binary digit starts from LSB bit. Okay, so I want to shift 1 bit, that to left. Okay, because it is left shift operator, right? So I want to shift a bit, only 1 bit to the left. So how I will perform? So this, whatever the bit here it is present, so this bit will be going to this place, and this bit will be going to this place, and this bit will be going to this place, and this bit will be going to another place. Okay, this is how we will be performing left shift operation. So this bit will go to this place. So now this one will come to, let me write. So this one will come to this place. Okay, this one will go to this place, right? So I wrote this one here, and this will be transferred to this. We will be shifting 1 byte. So here I will get my 1. Okay, and again this bit will be transferred to this place. So here I will get 1. Okay, and this bit will be transferred to next place, which is 0. Okay, so this is how the transformation will happen. This is how the lift shift operation will work. Okay, so now in this place, okay, if you observe, in this place I am not having any value. So here no value means 0. Okay, so now we need to convert this binary representation to decimal. How to convert? We know, right? So this is the 2 power 0th place. So 2 power 0 into 1. Sorry, it is 0, right? The result is 0. This is 0 into 0. And plus, and we know this is the 2 power 1, right? 2 power 1 place. So 2 power 1 into what is there? What is the number present? 1. So 1 plus and 2 power, okay, 3. 2 power 2. Okay, this is the 2 power 2. 2 power 2 into 1. Okay, plus and this is the 2 power 3. Okay, 2 power 3 place. So 2 power 3 into 1, and coming to here this is 2 power 4, right? 2 power 4 into 0 plus 2 power 4 into 0 plus 2 power 4 into 0. Okay, so if you calculate this, okay, so what will be the value we will be getting? First, 2 power 0 means 1. 1 into 0, 0 plus, and coming to this expression, 2 power 1 is 2. 2 into 1, 2 plus, okay, 2 power 2 which is 4. 4 into 1, 4 plus 2 power 3 which is equals to 8. 8 into 1, 8 plus 2 power 4, okay, into 0 which is equals to 0. So the result, total result will be, so 8 plus 2, 10. 10 plus 4, 14. Okay, so this will be the result. So let me try to do the same operation here by writing the system.out.println. Okay, so what we have performed? 7 left shift, and I need to shift by 1. So let me save and let me run. So what is the value we got? 14. Okay, so is it clear how to perform left shift operation? Any doubts? So here we can mention more than one bit also. If we mention 2 here, we need to shift digits. We need to do left shift operation by transferring 2 digits. Okay, by shifting 2 digits. Okay, that is how it works. I hope it is clear. Let me know. Let me know. Try to respond, guys. So whether you didn't understand, Sunia Begum, let me know. There are totally 24 members in this class and no one is trying to reply in the chat box. So whether you are listening to the class or not. So the thing is, this is the big process, right? So first we need to convert this number to binary. Later what we need to do? We need to do shift operation. Later we need to convert it to the decimal. Right? This is a big process. So instead of doing this, if if we are writing any competitive exams, we need to calculate the left shift operations very quickly, right? So for that there is one formula. Okay, how we will calculate means the formula is for left shift operation. So if you guys observe, I am performing left shift operation on 7, but I got the result 14. Okay, so whenever you do left shift operation, the value will be increased. Okay, the value will be increased than the number on which you are performing left operation. Okay, so that is the reason n, which is the number on which you are performing the shift operation, n into, okay, 2 power, okay, 2 power number of bits you are going to shift. Okay, this is the number of bits we gonna shift, right? So 2 power 1. So 2 power 1 into n. So try to calculate. Okay, I have given my number is 7, right? 7 into, okay, 2 power 1, right? 2 power 1. So 2 power 1 is 2. 7 2 is 14. Okay, we can calculate very easily. So here the number of bits to shift. Number of bits to shift. So this is the simple formula to calculate the left shift operation value. Okay. So coming to the right shift operation. Okay. So let me take the same value, but let me change the operator here to the left shift operator. Sorry, right shift operator. Okay, so the name number, but I'm trying to do right shift operation. So how to do that? So the same process. First we need to convert this 7 to binary number. What is the binary representation? 1, 1, 1. Okay, so I want to do right shift. Okay, number of how many number of bits I need to shift? Only one bit. Okay, so this bit will come to this place. Okay, right side. Okay, this bit will come to this place. This bit will come to this place, and this 0 will come to this place. Okay, this is how we will try to do right shift operation. So this one will be shifted to this place, and this one will be shifted to this place, right? So 1, and this one will be shifted to this place. Okay, So, and this 0 will be shifted to this place. So, it's 0. Okay. So, this value we need to neglect. Okay. This value we need to neglect because this is the starting LSB bit. Okay. This is the 2 power 0th place, 2 power 1, 2 power 2. Okay. So, this value we need to neglect. So, I am removing it. Now, try to convert this to binary format. So, how we will convert? So, we know 2 power 0, 2 power 0, and the result is, what is the result here? 1, right? 2 power 0 into 1 plus 2 power 1 into 1 plus 2 power 0 into, 2 power 2 into 0. Okay, so what will be the total value? So total value will be 3. Okay, 3. So 1 into 1, 1 plus 2, 3. Okay, we will get 3. So let me try to print. 7, right shift 1. So see, I am getting 3 as a value. So this is how we will try to perform right shift operation. So for this also there is formula. So the formula is, if you guys observe, I am performing left right shift operation on 7. If you observe, I got result as 3. Means if I try to do right shift operation on any number, the value will be decreased. Okay, so the formula for that is n divided by 2 power, okay, number of bits to shift. Number of bits to shift. Okay, so the number here is 7. 7 divided by 2. 2 power 1. Okay, 7 divided by 2 is equals to 3. Okay, we will get value 3. Okay, so this is the simple way to calculate the left shift operation value. So I hope it is clear, the shift operators. Okay, so we will move to another topic. So before moving that, I want to teach you guys one program. Okay, so you guys may listen like so swapping a number. The program is swapping a number. You may heard about this, swapping a number, right? So we can swap this with the help, means with the temp variable by taking one variable. Okay, without that also we can perform swapping. So we will see both. Okay, so first we will see how to swap a number using temp variable. Okay, so how we can swap? Think that there are two variables like number 1 is equals to 10 and int number 2 is equals to 20. Now swapping means what? So this 20 need to store inside this number 1 variable and this 10 need to store inside this number 2 variable. This is called swapping, right? So we can do this with using by taking one more separate variable like temp. Okay, int temp. So inside this temp, what I will store? I will store any one of this. Okay, any one of the variable value. So let me store number 1. Okay, number 1 value. So number 1. So now the temp will be storing 10. Right? Now what I will try to store? Number 1 is equals to, I will reinitialize this variable with the value number 2. Okay, number 2. So now the number 1 is storing 20. Okay, so again coming to the number 2. So number 2 need to store 10 value, right? So the 10 value is stored inside the temp variable, right? So number 2, and I will assign reinitialize with temp variable. So now it stores 10. Okay, so this is the one way how can we swap the numbers. Okay, so by using temp variable we can swap the numbers. So let me try to print number 1 and number 2. Okay, number 1 and number 2. Okay, so if you guys observe, number 1 is storing 20. I got my result, right? So number 1 is storing 20 and number 2 is storing 10. Okay, which the numbers are swapped. So this is with the help of temp variable, by using temp variable. Okay, so I can do the same thing without using temp variable also. Okay, without doing temp variable also I can do the same thing. I can swap the numbers. So how? Okay, so let me remove this part. Now I am having two variables and two values are stored inside those two variables. How to swap without using a temp variable? Okay, so how to swap a number without using temp variable? So how to do that? So the thing is just number 1. Okay, number 1. So I am doing some operation here. Try to observe. So number 1, I am taking this variable number 1. We know that inside number 1 I am having 10 value, right? So what I will do means number 1, I try to initialize number 1 variable with number 1 plus number 2. Okay, so now number 1, what is the number 1 value? 10, right? Plus number 2 value 20, right? So totally it got stored 30 here. Okay, so coming to the next, I am taking number 2 variable and I am trying to initialize with number 1, okay, minus number 2. Okay, so what is the number 1? 10 minus 20. So what will be the value? I will get in minus, right? So try to reverse. If I want to get positive value, I am reversing. So what I am doing, number 2 I am writing here, number 1 I am writing here. Okay, now what value I will get? 10. Okay, so if you guys observe, inside my number 2, after swapping I need to store 10. So I got my number here. Now I want to store 20 inside this number 1. Right? So how to do that? So now try to reinitialize number 1 variable. So if you observe, I am having number 30 inside this number 1 variable and inside this number 2 variable I am having 10. So if I minus, okay, 30, okay, if I minus this value, this 20, okay, with this 30, so I will get my value. So number 1 is equals to number 1 minus number 2. Okay, so which I will get 20 as a value. So I am minusing 30 minus 10. So which is the 20. I need to store 20 only inside this number 1 variable, right? So I will be storing that variable, that value inside the number 1 variable. So I have done here arithmetic operation. Okay, so first what I have done, I have reinitialized number 1 variable by adding the number 1 and number 2. Later, I reinitialized number 2 variable by minusing number 2 and number 1. Okay, and later I reinitialized again the number 1 variable by minusing number 1 and number 2. Okay, now try to print. So let me try to print. Let's see what is the output. So if you guys observe, I got 40 and I got 10. So some operation got wrong. So let me check. So number 1 is storing 10 plus 20, which is equals to 30. I should, okay, so let me try to print here. So now I need to print number 1. So let's see. So I got 30, right? So again I am trying to reinitialize this number 2 by minusing number 2 minus number 1. So number 1 storing 30, right? So I wrote here 20. So that is the thing. So what here? So I want to minus number 2. Okay, so sorry, number 1. Okay, so the number 1, this variable is stored 30 here. So 30 and I need to minus with number 2. So I will get here 10. So now I will get my output. So let me write. So number 1, number 2, number 2. Okay. So yes, see here. So number 1 store 10, sorry 20 and number 2 store 10. Okay, so this is how we can swap the numbers by using arithmetic operators. Okay, we know this, right? This plus, minus are arithmetic operators. So we can swap the number without using temp variable. Okay, with the help of arithmetic operations too. I hope it is clear. Let me know. So what I done here, I reinitialized number 1 variable with by adding number 1 and number 2 variable. Later, I reinitialized number 2 variable by minusing number 1 minus number 2, and later I reinitialized number 1 variable with by minusing number 1 and number 2 variables, number 2 values. Okay, so I hope it is clear. So we have started these classes before 1 week only. So you are joining now. So I can't do anything. So try. I will resend the YouTube channel link so you can go through with the classes there. Okay. So is it clear? So how we can perform swapping of two numbers without using temp variable by using arithmetic operator? So please try to respond. Okay, so let me go to other topic. Waste of time. So I have completed with left shift, right shift, and I'm thinking to teach you one more way also to swap the number. Okay, so there is one more way which is by using bitwise OR operator. Okay, so what we will do means just instead of this arithmetic operation, so I will try to replace this with OR operator, bitwise OR operator, and let me check whether I will get the same output or not. See, I'm getting the same. Okay, so you can perform the swapping of two numbers by using bitwise OR operator too. Okay, so try to perform operation bitwise OR operation on number 1 and number 2 and try to observe the result. Then you will understand. Okay, so this is the one more way to swap the number. And now coming to the next topic, which is we will go for conditional statements. I thought of you guys to teach some more programs, but I'm not interested because you guys are not at all responding. So it is time waste. Okay, so I'm going to the other topic, so which is conditional statements. Conditional statements. Okay, so what is this conditional statements? The conditional statements are also called as control flow statements. Okay, those are also called as control flow statements. Okay, because it controls the flow of execution of the program. Why we call it as control flow statements? Because it controls the execution of the program. Okay, so that is the reason we call conditional statements as control flow statements. Okay, and there are so many names for this, like we can call it as branching statements too. Okay, branching statements, or we can call it as decision making statements also. Okay, decision making statements. Okay, because with the help of this conditional statements or with the help of this control flow statements, okay, the programmer can take decision based on the condition. Okay, so why we call it as decision making statements? Because the programmer can take decision based on the condition. So that is the reason we call it as conditional statements or decision making statements. Okay, in Java we are having so many decision making statements like if, okay, so if else and if else if ladder. Okay, so if else if, we call it as ladder also. Okay, instead of calling if else if, we call it as ladder. And we have nested if. Okay, and we have switch statement. Okay, these are all the conditional statements or control flow statements. Okay, so now we will learn one by one. Okay, coming to the simple if. So how this simple if works? Okay, how the simple if works? So if will get executed when the condition given to that if statement is true. Okay, first let me write the syntax. Okay, so if, and inside this we will try to write the condition. We know, right, with the help of relational operator we try to write the conditions. Okay, and we will open the flower braces and we try to close the flower braces. In between here we try to write the implementation part. implementation part. Okay, so if this particular condition which is given inside this if this particular condition is true, then only this implementation will get executed. Okay, then only this implementation will get executed. Okay, otherwise it won't execute this implementation. Okay, it won't execute this implementation. Okay, this is how simple if works. Okay, let me show. So if I said, right, if the condition is true, then only it will get executed. Let me first write the syntax. So let me write something like implementation. Let me write like implementation. Okay, so if the condition is true, then only it will get executed. So instead of writing some condition, let me give true or false. Those are also conditions, right? So true. If here I am giving true. True means the condition is true. Okay. So if this condition is true, it need to execute this implementation. So let me check whether it will execute or not. Okay, if you observe, I got my output as implementation. So it is working fine. Now let me make this true as a false. Okay, so now let me try to execute. See, I didn't get my output. Let me try to execute one more time. I didn't get any output. Okay, and if you observe, I'm seeing something like yellow line here. And if I over on there, I'm finding something like dead code. Okay, so in previous classes, I said about this dead code. Dead code means the execution is not happened for that particular code. Okay, this particular code is not got executed. JVM is not executed this particular code. Then only it will be dead code. Means if the condition is false, it won't enter this block, right? It won't enter the if block. So that is the reason it is not getting executed. So that is the reason if I over here I am finding some message like dead code. Means it is not executed by the JVM. Okay, this is not executed by the JVM because here the condition is false. Okay, this is how the simple if works. Okay, so instead of this true and false, I can write conditions with the help of relational operator, logical operator. Okay, so try to implement simple if by writing some simple programs. Okay, and this is how the simple if works. Okay, coming to the next. So next is else if or if else. Okay, so if else. So how this if else work? So let me write the syntax first. Syntax. Okay, so first if we try to write condition. Okay, so and later inside this is the if implementation, if block implementation. So, if block implementation. Okay, so coming to here, it is else. Okay, so for else there will be no condition. We won't write any condition inside if. For the if we won't give any condition. So this is else block implementation. We try to write here implementation for the else block. Okay, so this is the syntax. Okay, so if you observe, the if is having condition, but coming to the else, it is not having condition. Okay, this else part, or we can say else block, okay, is depended on this if. Okay, here the else block is depended on this if. Okay, so whether it need to execute or not, so that is depend upon this if block. Okay, so if the condition is true here, then it will enter the if block and try to execute this implementation, and it will end up here only. So it won't go for else part. Okay, so think that now the condition is false. So as the condition is false, it won't execute this block. Okay, it won't execute if block. So it will directly go to the else part and try to execute the else block implementation. Okay, this is how if and else works. Okay, so here the else part is dependable on if. Okay, so if the condition is false, then only else part will get executed, otherwise no. Okay, so let me show with simple example. So let it be like that. Let me write else part. Okay, let me write some implementation like else block implementation. Okay, so let me write here like if block. Okay, so think that this is true now. I am making this condition as true. So if you observe, I said right, if the condition is true, it will enter to this if block and will execute this if block implementation. Later, it will stop its execution. It won't go to else part. It won't go. Because here the condition is true, it need to execute the if block implementation. It won't go to else part. So when the condition is false, then only the else part will get executed. Okay, so let me check. So if you observe, I got my output as if block. Okay, so the if block implementation got executed as the condition is true. Okay, if you guys observe here, I am having yellow line again. So if I over dead code, means this else part is not got executed by the JVM. So that is the reason we got yellow line with the message dead code. Okay, and let me give here false. Okay, if you observe, the yellow line is now for if implementation, right? As the condition is false, so the else part will get executed. It won't get executed by the JVM. So that is the reason I will get message like dead code. Okay, so while writing only, okay, in Eclipse or VS Code, you will get to know which implementation will execute or which implementation will not execute. Okay, so this is the importance of using Eclipse or VS Code. Okay, so we'll get to know while writing code only. So let me run. So if you observe, else block got executed. Okay, so let me write a simple program. So like to check whether a number is even or not. So before that, let me take a number. Int number is equals to, let me take small number like 4. Okay, so how to check whether it is even or not? By using if else we can perform that operation. So if the number, okay, so in arithmetic operators we are having one operator called modulus, right? So what it will give? It will give reminder of the operation. So what I want to do here is, I want to perform modulus operation. I want to divide this number with the 2 if I get output has 0, if I get remainder has 0, if I divide this number with the 2, if I get remainder as 0, then I can say it is even, right? Otherwise it is odd. So even. Okay, so if it is divisible, if I get 0 as a remainder, then it is even, otherwise it is odd. Okay, so let me save and let me execute. So as the number 4 is even, I am getting even. Let me change to 5. So I got odd. Okay, so this is how we can try to operate with the help of if else. Okay, there is another way also to check whether a number is divisible, means whether a number is even or not. Okay, the thing is, instead of this using modulus operator, you can use bitwise AND operator. Okay, and but the value should be 1 here. Okay, if we do operation, okay, with number, and if you do bitwise AND operation between the number and 1, then you will get to know whether it is even or not. Okay, so here what will happen means, if the number, here I have given 5, right? So if I try to perform bitwise AND operation with 1, if my value will become 0, then I can say it has even. Okay, then I can say it has even if the value will become 0. Otherwise odd. Okay, otherwise odd. So if I try to perform bitwise AND operation between the number and 1, if I get value as 0, then it will be even, otherwise it will be odd. Okay, so let me check. So see, I am getting odd. As I have given number as a 5, I am getting odd. So let me try, let me give a even number, so which is 10, and let me check. See, I am getting even. Okay, so this is how, with the help of bitwise AND operator also, you can find whether a number is even or odd. Okay, I hope it is clear, if else. So let me go to another. If else if, or we can call it as ladder. Okay, if else if, or we can call it as ladder. Okay, so how it works, let me write the syntax. Okay, so if, okay, so when we use this if else if means if we are having multiple conditions to check. Okay, so here we will write one condition. Okay, so if this is false, then this if implementation will get executed. Okay, so let me close this flower braces, and later else if. Okay, inside else if also we will be writing the condition. Okay, so condition, and let me know whether I said right else will is dependable on if. So let me know whether else if is dependable on if or not. Try to answer until I write this syntax. Try to answer whether if else if is dependable on if or not. Else if, I can write condition inside this. Okay, at last, after you can write any number of else ifs, at last try to have else. Without else also no problem. Else implementation. Okay. So here else if is not dependable because it is having its own condition, right? So it is not dependable on if. But if you go to else, so if this condition is false only, it need to execute, means it is depending on other block. But coming to the else if, it is having its own condition. Okay, if that is true, then it will execute that block, otherwise it won't execute. So it is dependable. Sorry, it is not dependable, it is independent. Okay, so coming to the else, it is dependable. Coming to the else if, it is not dependable. Okay, so how it works? So when first we need to know when we need to have this else if conditions. So if for a problem, if we are having so many conditions to check, okay, then we will go with if else if later. Okay, then we will go with this later. Okay, so whenever the condition which I wrote inside this if is true, okay, then it will enter the if block and try to execute this implementation. Okay, think that this is not true, this is false. Okay, then it will go to this else if and check whether this condition which I wrote for else if is true or false. Think that now it is also false, then it will go to this else if and it will check whether this condition is true or false. Okay, think that this is true, then the implementation which I wrote inside this else if block will get executed. Okay, and it will terminate this later. Okay, so think that this condition is also false, this condition is also false, this condition is also false, then else part will get executed. Okay, if you observe here, the else is dependable on two things here. One is else if and another one is if. Okay, so this should be false and this should be also false, then only else will get executed. Okay, so now the else part is in ladder. The else part is dependable on two components. One is else if and another one is if. Okay, so let me show with one example, simple example. So let me erase this first. So if, so let me make this as a false first and let me have some implementation inside it, like if block. Okay, so and after that else if. Okay, so let me have here also something like false. Okay, so let me have some implementation inside this also. So let me write as else if one block. Okay, so coming to the next, which is one more else if. So like this I can write any number of else if. Okay, so and the having else part is also not necessary, you can skip else part also. It is not mandatory to write the structure like that only. Based on your problem, based on the operation, based on the result you need to print, so you can choose anything. So it is not mandatory to have else part, and you can have any number of else if also. So let me make this condition as true. Okay, so let me have some implementation here. So else if 2 block. Okay, so I'm skipping else for now, just let me check what will be the output. So else if 2 block. So what is happening here? First, JVM is checking whether this condition is false or true. It is false, so it won't even enter this if block. It will try to come to this. So it will check whether this condition is true or false. It is also false. then it won't go inside. It will skip this part and try to come here. Now it will check whether it is true or not. Okay, so if it is true, then it will get executed this. Let me make this false. Okay, so let me run. See, I'm getting nothing because each and every condition is false. That is the reason it is not executing anything. Okay, so if I try to make true, the else if to block will get executed. Okay, so if you observe here also the yellow lines, you can see, right? So this is dead code, this is dead code, which is not executable, and here we are not finding any yellow line which is executable. Okay, so let me have else also. Okay, so let me write like else block. Okay, so let me have here, instead of true, let me have false. Okay, so here yellow lines are all only saying which is executable, which is not executable, if you observe, right? So my else block will get executed because all the conditions are false. So if all the conditions are false, obviously by defaultly the else block need to execute, right? So it will get executed. See, else block is getting executed. Okay, so this is how it works. So I hope it is clear. So any queries? Okay, so we will try to execute a program by using this ladder. Okay, so simple program only. What I want to do is I will be giving some marks. Okay, so think that int marks. So let me give m. Okay, so I will be giving some mark. As of now, I am not giving anything. If the marks are between 90, okay, 90 to 100, okay, I need to print something like A grade. Okay, so one more thing, if it is 75 to 89, if it is in range of 75 to 89, then I need to print something like B. Okay, so if it is between some 65 to 74 range, let me take 74. Okay, so I need to print something like C. Okay, so let me write here like 65. Okay, so from, if the marks is in range of 50 to some 64, I need to print like it is D grade. Okay, other than that I need to print as false. If it is lower than 50, I need to print. If it is less than 50, I need to print false, which is F, fail. Okay, so we will try to execute this. So how we will write? First I will be writing F and I will be checking my marks, right? My marks are stored inside M variable. So M should be greater than or equals to 90, and we will be using logical AND operator, right? So and the M should be less than or equal to 100. Okay, So if both are true, then I need to print grade as A. Okay, so in the same way, else if my marks are greater than, if this is false, okay, we know right how logical AND operator will work. If any one is false, the total will be false, right? So if this is false, then it need to come to here, it need to check whether it is in within this range or not. So here the mark should be greater than or is equals to 75, and the mark should be less than or equals to 89. So if it is in this range, then it need to print some grade as B. Okay. So in the same way, else if the M marks are greater than or is equals to 65, okay, and the marks are less than or equals to 74. If it is within this range, then it need to print something like grade C. Okay, so coming to the next, I am having D also, right? So else if the my marks, okay, is greater than or equals to 50, and my marks are less than or equals to 64, okay, then I need to print grade as D. Okay, so else I need to print if it is less than, then means if all are false, then the marks are less than 50 only, right? So by default I need to print as fail, which is F. Okay, so let me give a number. So let me give something like 57. Okay, so let me try. So I got D because here it will check whether 57 is greater than 90. Whether 57 is greater than 90, first condition only false. First relational expression only false. Then it won't even check for the second. I said right how logical AND works. So it won't even check. So this total condition is false. And coming to here, whether 57 is greater than or equals to 75? No, here also the first condition only false. Then the total condition will be false. Coming to the next, whether 57 greater than or is equals to 65? No, right? Then the total condition is false. Then it won't enter to this block. Coming to here, whether is 57 greater than or is equals to 50? Yes. Now it is true. Now it will go for the second relational expression also. Whether 57 is less than or is equals to 64? Yes. Then it will print this. It will enter this block and try to print. Okay. So let me give something like 79. Okay. So let me execute. I am getting B because it is within this range. So instead of writing this much big condition, I can solve it in simple way also. Okay, so if you guys observe here, if my marks are greater than 90, okay, the maximum limit of any marks, any subject is 100, right? If my marks are greater than 90, then simply I can print A. No need to check whether it is less than 100, right? So think that my marks are not greater than 90, means my marks are less than 90, right? Now no need to check whether my marks are less than or is equals to 89, because here only we got clarity. If this condition is false, obviously my marks will be less than 90 only, right? So I need to check whether it is greater than 75 or not. If it is greater than 75, then I can directly print B. Okay. In the same way here also, think that this condition is also false. If this condition is false means the marks will be less than 75, which will be lying in this range only, right? So no need to check this also. So if I check whether it is greater than or is equals to 65, it is more than enough. Okay. So here also, if this condition is false, then my marks are obviously less than 65. So I need to check whether they are greater than 50 or not. Okay. So let me check for 79 only. See, I'm getting the same thing. Previously we have tried for 57, right? So I got D. So let me check. See, I'm getting my result. Okay. So this is how we can simplify. Okay. So this is how the ladder works in Java. So I hope it is clear. I hope it is clear. Let me know.